It all started in the dim light of a rainy Thursday morning, the kind that makes everything feel a little heavier. The kind that soaks into your skin and your soul. Inside the underfunded, overburdened high school on the edge of town, the day was already unraveling. Hallways echoed with slammed lockers, curses, and tension. But in the corner nurse's office, filled with the faint smell of antiseptic and hope, Nurse Ellie Carter was doing what she always did, healing more than just wounds. Ellie wasn't just a nurse. She was a second mom to the broken kids, a therapist to the angry ones, and a safe haven for anyone with nowhere else to go. For the past 5 years, she had worked quietly, always in the background, always calm. But that calm was about to be shattered. It started with a boy named Marcus. 17, tall, angry, and lost. He'd been caught in fights, missing classes, and had a record thick enough to make teachers give up on him. But not Ellie. She'd taken time to listen, patch his wounds, and offer him food from her own lunch when he came in hungry. She saw the good in him, buried deep, hidden behind pain. Then there were the others. A group of 4, Travis, Dom, Rafe, and Leo. Bigger, louder, and meaner. They called themselves the Wolves, and they ruled the school through fear. Even the teachers avoided confrontations. They had power, and they knew it. But power is a fragile thing when built on intimidation. And Ellie, gentle, soft-spoken Ellie, was about to challenge that power without even meaning to. It started with a scream outside her office. Ellie ran out to find Marcus curled on the floor, bleeding from the lip, his book scattered like broken promises. The Wolves stood over him, laughing. Enough. Ellie's voice cracked like thunder through the hallway. The boys froze. No one ever shouted at them. No one ever stood up. You think this makes you strong? Beating someone who's already been beaten down every day of his life. Rafe stepped forward, smirking. Back off, nurse. This isn't your business. It is when you leave a kid bleeding in my hallway. Leo shoved past her shoulder, hard. She stumbled, caught herself. The tension snapped like a rubber band. And then Dom swung. Ellie didn't even have time to think. One moment, she was standing. The next, she was on the ground, pain ripping through her side, her head hitting the linoleum with a dull thud. The boys laughed and walked off like they'd just swatted a fly. Marcus crawled toward her, eyes wide with panic, but she held up a hand. She was seeing stars, but her voice was clear. I'm okay. She wasn't. Her arm was throbbing. Her ribs were screaming. But she sat up, slowly, painfully. Her hand brushed against the leg of a broken chair in the hallway, splintered, jagged, forgotten. She picked it up. Not as a weapon. As a message. She walked down the hallway with the broken chair leg in her hand and her chin high, blood drying on her cheek. Every student watching held their breath. No one had ever gotten up after a hit from the Wolves. Not like that. Principal Donnelly arrived, breathless, but Ellie waved him off. I want cameras checked. I want every second of that hallway footage saved. And I want parents called, she said. Today. She spent the night in the hospital with 2 cracked ribs and a fractured wrist. But the real wounds weren't physical. She couldn't stop replaying the scene. Not because she was afraid, but because she'd finally had enough. When she returned to school a week later, the nurse's office was silent. Students hovered in the doorway, uncertain. But then came Marcus. He walked in, hugged her awkwardly, and said, "You didn't have to do that. No one's ever done that for me." She smiled, eyes misting. "Yes, I did. Because you're worth it." The news spread fast. Students who had stayed silent now found their voices. One by one, others came forward, kids who'd been bullied, hurt, silenced. With Ellie's help, they wrote statements, told stories, and faced the storm. The Wolves were suspended. 2 of them were arrested. The school board launched an investigation. But the real victory came weeks later, when a student council member suggested starting a peer mediation program. Another proposed a support group for students dealing with trauma. And a teacher set up a self-defense class, named Ellie's Line, to teach students how to protect themselves and others, not just with fists, but with confidence and courage. Ellie never wanted to be a hero. She never wanted to fight. But when the moment came, she stood up, with a broken chair leg and an unbreakable will. Her story spread beyond the school, picked up by local news, then national outlets. She received letters from students across the country, some bullied, some inspired, all thanking her. But the most powerful moment came when Marcus, now volunteering at a community center, told a group of younger kids. She got knocked down. But she didn't stay there. She showed me that you don't have to be strong to fight, you just have to care enough to stand. And that's what this story is about. Not revenge. Not violence. But courage. Compassion. And standing up when it's easier to stay down, because sometimes, the most powerful thing in the world isn't a raised fist, but a nurse, getting to her feet with a broken chair leg, and choosing to fight for the ones no one else would.